You think once you get to juvenile system, the chances you are gonna continue a life in a adult population jail are pretty high?
Oh yeah, of course, man. Statistics are statistics for a reason, bro. And like, I've never like done a case study on the numbers. I hear about them all the time because while you're incarcerated, you have to take these dumb classes and you hear about it. But from firsthand experience, like this is like my life experience. Like everyone who I knew, like in second chance schools and third chance schools and juvenile programs, like to this day, like there's barely anybody who's actually out. Like I remember like we graduate from juvenile programs to adult prison. And as we grow up in prison, like there's guys in the prison, like I would see, like I remember like doing like juvenile time with them in juvenile facilities, if they're not dead. And some of them have life sentences, 30 years, 60 years. And that's where it all started from. We can look back and we can trace like we started in juvenile programs and we just continued to live a lifestyle of crime and the street life that led to mass incarceration.
So pretty much like the penitentiary is not going to make people better or innocent. They're just gonna keep adding up the heavy situations of their life and just keep piling them up one by one, and eventually you're gonna be paying a price for it because you are around the people who are up to no good since a young age. So that's probably like why so many people fail by living better, or I don't want to say better because what's better really, right? But they fail to live like, let's say normally after just like they get out from the juvenile, because it's impossible because of the experience they already went through as a kids in the juvenile hall. So how they can be better as an adult, right? It's not gonna make you any better. How did you process the fact that you can spend there majority of your life being just locked down? Like when you actually realize you are facing this type of reality, did you actually even realize that? Like when you were 18 and you said, damn, I'm pretty screwed. Like I'm gonna go to adult population and there's no playing around, I'm assuming, right? How did you process that?
I went to the prison, like you said, the first time when I was 18 and I was sentenced to 2.5 years. So in the state of Florida, they try to protect, like young adults to where like if you're under the age of 25 and you're sentenced to adult prison, to where they'll send you to what's called like JIT camp. It's adult prison, but it's from the age bracket from like 18 to 25. But it's also known as gladiator school because like even whenever you're 18 to 25, like nobody wants to go to JIT camp, because it's gladiator school. So it's nothing but like fighting all day and, gang affiliation and gang violence and extortion. And it's just crazy, a whole bunch of young men who come from a life of crime, and it's
they're all locked up on the same spot. It's completely unnatural environment at all. No women, no parents, nothing. Just a bunch of guys stuck, filled up with testosterone, aggressive, this is the harsh reality that I cannot even imagine. How can you survive in prison like that as a first timer? What are like the key things you have to do as a first timer?
Yeah, I would say, man, it's different for everybody. Everyone's prison experience is different. And just like, sometimes I think it's a challenge for people who've never experienced like incarceration, what it's like, because we only get like snapshots of like what's on TV or people's stories. But even when you hear people's stories, everyone's story is different. Just like out here in society, is like, how do you live life? Like, bro, you can live life like a plethora of ways. So same thing in incarceration. While incarcerated, you can live your incarcerated time a vast majority of ways. And also it's based upon like what state you're in, what prison you're at, what dorm you go to. Okay. But I would say this like some core like similar traits I think it boils down to. Man, is respect and just how you carry yourself. And one thing about prison, I think over a long period of time, especially like when you grow up in prison and you do like years, man, like nothing gets past you. Like I think out here in society, like I can the transition's been different. But I feel like even like coming home from prison after a long period of time, people who've done prison time, we can even come home to an advantage because like we read body language, tone, texture of people's conversations, their eyes. The moment someone walks in the dorm, just like subconsciously, like you're profiling them. You know what I mean? Like you have this survival.
I mean,
you know
have,
what I mean?
And plus you have all this time in the world. You're sitting there, so you are analyzing people, like reading, trying to read them. Yeah. So respect and
also too, man, it's like you can tell when people are scared. You know? So I think that, you know, predators can prey on the weak. Ultimately for me, like for me personally, like it was nothing but the favor of the Lord protecting my life. And I've always been very social. I've always been like, you know, popular in school and even like in prison. So like the big gang leaders, like those were always like my homeboys, you know what I mean? And things like that. And people who had influence, even though I wasn't living a crazy chain gang lifestyle, running around stabbing people as like some savage, but still just by the favor of God ultimately and just how I was living. But also too, just because I think of my past and my street upbringing, I knew how to be assertive, to be aggressive, and to like draw boundaries and lines to where like I'm not pussy. You're not gonna take advantage of me. You're not gonna talk to me any type of way. And I think just like in that type of environment, you have to be assertive, and you can still be like a follower of Jesus and honor and glorify God in incarceration, but still know like, okay, there's boundaries, there's lines.
There's a line.
It's respect, man. I would say in a nutshell, the core essence of doing life in prison or doing years in prison or spending time incarcerated is being a man. And what I mean by being a man is just like, you can't, in that type of hostile environment, you can't be a pushover, but you just got to be respectful, bro. You respect other people and you need to expect and demand respect as well.
Pokud vás tento díl zaujal, tak tady jsou další díly. A tady jsou další klipy. Mějte se.